Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Tobit, Judith, Esther, 1st, 2nd Maccabees, Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Songs, Wisdom, Sirach, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Baruch, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, 1st, 2nd Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, 1st, 2nd Thessalonians, 1st, 2nd Timothy, Titus, Philemon, Hebrews, James, 1st, 2nd Peter, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, John, Jude, Revelation.
This is Project John 10:16. This is Fidel. Today I'm writing solo. We're going to be talking today about just memorization of the Bible verses and also of the books in the Bible. So the one thing that we want to do in this, and that will help you along the way to just remember Bible verses in general, is you have to know all the books in the Bible in order, because otherwise, I found in the past that when you don't do this, you'll learn a Bible verse and it's just kind of floating around in your mind, and you don't know exactly where to place that Bible verse, and it's very quickly forgotten. So a good idea is to learn all the books in the Bible in sequence, and then that way when you hear a Bible verse, you'll be able to put it in your mental filing cabinet. And it's a lot easier to remember that way. And I've learned so many Bible verses this way. So first of all, learn all the books in the Bible in sequence. And then as the shows go on, we're going to be listing in the description of the video all the Bible verses that we use on a certain topic. And again, the whole point of this is to just learn this stuff and go out and practice it. Seek out opportunities for you to practice apologetics. And that's kind of like the main point of what we're doing is Catholics need to go out and re-evangelize and talk to Protestants and bring them back. That's why the podcast is called Project John 10:16. John 10:16 is a Bible verse that says, I have sheep that are not of this fold, and they too shall hear my voice, and there will be one fold and one shepherd. So that's what we're trying to do. There's a lot of Catholics that have left the Catholic Church, and it's because a lot of them don't know the Bible. So you'll have a Protestant come up and give them a few Bible verses. A Catholic doesn't know how to respond, and then they leave the church. So that's kind of what we want to do. We want to teach these people that, hey, everything the Catholic Church believes is in the Bible, and it's very simple. Once you learn a few Bible verses, it's very easy to do that. We've had success. We've talked to many people who were former Catholics, and now they have come back to the church. So that's part of your evangelization. It's how St. Paul did it. You can see an example of this in Acts 17, 1 through 2. You see that Paul used to do this as his custom. He, on a regular basis, he would go into the synagogues and he would debate with the Jews because they knew the scriptures. So he debated with them using the scriptures, proving that Jesus was the Messiah. So without further ado, we're going to take our rosary beads and we're going to practice. What we're going to do is we're going to practice reciting the books in the Bible of the Old Testament. So basically it's we're going to use big chunks. We're going to use small chunks and another small chunk of books, and we're going to unite them. And then we're going to have another chunk, a small chunk, and another small chunk. We're going to unite that. And eventually the bigger chunks, we're going to unite those, and so on and so forth. And then you'll be able to recite all the books in the Bible. That's exactly how I did it. It's not too hard. You just got to set some time apart, get a list of books in the Bible, and just recite them. So we're going to go first in the Old Testament. We're just going to start. I'm just doing exactly how I learned to recite the books in the Bible. So Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. 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 Glory be to God. So that was the first set, and then now we're going to finish off with Joshua, Judges, Ruth. So the last part of the Pentateuch, and that's what I'm working on right now. The Pentateuch is the first books in the Bible from Genesis all the way to Ruth. So it's so we did Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth. 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 And then you kind of want to get used to hearing these names, because a lot of these Bible books in the Old Testament, especially as we get towards the end of the Old Testament, they are a little difficult to remember because they're names that are not familiar to us, at least to me when I started doing this. So it's going to be good to just say them and get used to saying the names. And you know, once you learn all the books in the Bible, nobody can surprise you. Nobody can come up and say and just make up a book that's not in the Bible. You know, like come up and say, well, in the book of Jim, chapter 5, you know, book 6, whatever. This is something that won't happen to you. I remember before this, I had one person come up to me and kind of mention a book that they thought was in the Bible, and I didn't know. You know, this is before I started doing all this. So it's good to know. That way, you know, you're competent and you know exactly what you're doing. So we did, on the first decade, we did Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. On the second decade, we did Joshua, Judges, Ruth. So then we're going to put them together. We're going to put these two together, this decade and this decade. We're going to put them together on a new decade. So then we go Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth. 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 Glory be to God. So that's pretty much how you do it. And you're going to go on throughout the whole Bible, and you're going to be able to just go through another list. So just to give you some more examples, we're going to go through. So after that, in the Bible, it's 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles. 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles. 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles. 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles. 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles. 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles. 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles. 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles. 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles. 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles. 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles. Then after that, we go Ezra, Nehemiah, Tobit, Judith, Esther. 1st, 2nd Maccabees. Ezra, Nehemiah, Tobit, Judith, Esther, 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 1st, 2nd Maccabees. Now we're going to take 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles, and Ezra, Nehemiah, Tobit, Judith, Esther, and combine those. So it's going to be 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Tobit, Judith, Esther, 1st, 2nd Maccabees. 1st, 2nd, 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Tobit, Judith, Esther, 1st, 2nd Maccabees. Ezra, Nehemiah, Tobit, Judith, Esther. I'm sorry. It's 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Tobit, Judith, Esther, 1st, 2nd Maccabees. 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Tobit, Judith, Esther, 1st, 2nd Maccabees. 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Tobit, Judith, Esther, 1st, 2nd Maccabees. 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Tobit, Judith, Esther, 1st, 2nd Maccabees. 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Tobit, Judith, Esther, 1st, 2nd Maccabees. 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Tobit, Judith, Esther, 1st, 2nd Maccabees. 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Tobit, Judith, Esther, 1st, 2nd Maccabees. 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Tobit, Judith, Esther, 1st, 2nd Maccabees. So there you go. So you got the Pentateuch, which is Genesis through Ruth, and then now you have the historical books, which is 1st Samuel through 2nd Maccabees. So that's how you can do the whole Bible. And you don't have to do this sitting down. I like to pace around the room sometimes, or sometimes when I'm in the car, I'm saying it. I'll have it on my phone on the dash with the holder. And I'll just put up a list of the Bible books when I first started learning this, and I was reciting them in the car. And you want to get used to saying these. It's almost like when you say the Our Father, you kind of just do it automatically. And then that's how you're going to be able to do this. And then you'll hear, for example, like Zechariah 12:10, and you know exactly where that is for Zechariah 12:10. And you'll hear Bible verses, and you'll know exactly where. And also, when you're talking to people, you don't want to be flipping back and forth and looking, fumbling through the Bible and looking like you don't know what you're doing. So this actually it helps you to be more competent when you're doing apologetics, and you look competent, and you are competent when you're doing this. So it's a big benefit to learning all the books in the Bible. You want to get to the point where you can say Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Tobit, Judith, Esther, 1st, 2nd Maccabees, Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Songs, Wisdom, Sirach, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Baruch, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, 1st, 2nd Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, 1st, 2nd Thessalonians, 1st, 2nd Timothy, Titus, Philemon, Hebrews, James, 1st, 2nd Peter, 1st, 2nd, 3rd John, Jude, Revelation. Once you do that, that is going to be a huge benefit for you in apologetics and memorizing Bible verses. You'll be like a commando. You won't have to look stuff up on your phone. You memorize all the list of all the Bible verses in the in a certain subject. For example, in confession, for example, you have Leviticus 5:5, right? That's where it says that you confess to a priest, and the priest does atonement for the sins of the people. So it says we'll set up a list, and then once you learn these Bible verses, you know that Leviticus comes right before it's Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. So you'll know exactly where to place it. It comes right after Exodus and before Numbers. And then you'll be able to just know in your mind, in case you need to turn to that, you'll have that in your mind. So then once you learn all the books in the Bible, then you work on the list of Bible verses, and you'll go to, for example, confess to the priest and not to God directly. Leviticus 5:5, confess to the priest and not to God directly. Leviticus 5:5. Confess to the priest and not to God directly, Leviticus 5:5. Confess to the priest and not to God directly, Leviticus 5:5. Confess to the priest and to God directly, Leviticus 5:5. Confess to the priest and not to God directly, Leviticus 5:5. Confess to the priest and not to God directly, Leviticus 5:5. Confess to the priest and not to God directly, Leviticus 5:5. Confess to the priest and not to God directly, Leviticus 5:5. Confess to the priest and not to God directly, Leviticus 5:5. So the priest is a representative of God, and that's what you see throughout the Bible. God has representatives, and then you'll be able to show people that in the Bible there is not one Bible verse that says I confess to God directly. It's always to a priest or a prophet. You see that God has ambassadors in 2 Corinthians 5:19 through 20. You see that there's the ministry of reconciliation. That's another word. That's another word for the sacrament of confession. It's confession, penance, or reconciliation. Those are the names that we use for that sacrament. It's the same sacrament. You can use them interchangeably. But we're going to set up lists in the description to all our videos where we're going to have all the Bible verses that we use in that video. And you can copy them. And this is just one method that I've used to memorize Bible verses. But you don't have to do it this way. Sometimes I've actually written them down. Sometimes I don't feel like saying it out loud. I'll just get like a notepad and I'll just jot down a short summary of the Bible verse and then the chapter and verse. A short summary of the Bible verse and then chapter and verse. A short summary of the Bible verse and then chapter and verse. And I just do that 10 times. Or sometimes I just kind of like have it in my mind and I'll just jot down the chapter and verse, and then I'll do the whole list, and then that way you'll be like a commando. You can jump into any situation, and you'll feel more confident. We talk to pastors. The majority of people we talk to is pastors and people who allegedly know their Bible. You'll find out that once you do this, a lot of them don't know their Bible. They'll often say, oh, it's in the Bible. Like, for example, the confession. They say, I confess directly to God. There's not one Bible verse that says that. You have to call them out first. That's one of the things we do. Instead of going on the offenses and then just start spitting Bible verses, first go on the defense, on the defenses. I got that backwards. Instead of going on the defenses and shooting off Bible verses, first you put them on the defenses, you on the offense, and you tell them, show me in the Bible where it says I confess to God directly. Or show me in the Bible where it says sons of Mary or children of Mary. There's not one Bible verse that says sons of Mary or children of Mary. Or when you're talking about the baptism of children, there's not one Bible verse that says everybody's baptized except children, or adults only and not the children. There's no Bible verse that says that. So you want to put them on the defensive and make them prove what they're saying, because a lot of times they make up stuff that's not in the Bible. They say all this stuff. The church doesn't matter. Christ didn't establish any church. Show me in the Bible. Everything they say, your first reaction should be, can you show me in the Bible where it says that? Can you show me in the Bible where it says that? That should be always your point of departure. Should be, show me in the Bible where it says that. And a lot of them will not be able to prove it, not because they don't know the Bible verse. It's because it doesn't exist. A lot of these doctrines that they have do not exist in the Bible. And only if you're a Catholic that is prepared and has practiced their apologetics and knows their Bible verses, only then can you be confident enough to say these types of things. And then you're going to find that there's apparent Bible verses that say these things, but it's apparent. They apparently say that, but then you compare it to other Bible verses and you realize quickly and clearly that that is not the case. So learn these books in the Bible. And after you do that, learn the lists from the different topics that we're going to do with the different Bible verses. And after that, go out and practice this. Go out and talk to people on Zoom. We've been doing this a lot of Zoom because of the pandemic. We've been doing this on Zoom and on different platforms. I guess I shouldn't have said that, but they might take our video off from the get-go. I heard a lot of people have been getting their videos off just by mentioning the P word. But so anyways, we're going to be going out. We always go out and talk to on Sundays, on Saturdays. Sometimes we go out to the shopping centers where the Protestants are, sometimes with their megaphone, with their microphone, and we engage them in conversation, and we're very competent. We're very knowledgeable, and we know every topic. We know everything they're going to say before they say it. And I encourage you to do that. That's part of the evangelization. This is part of actually the old evangelization. St. Paul used to do this, right? So in Acts 17, 1 through 2, he used to go into the synagogue and use the scriptures, and he used to debate the Jews in the synagogues and show them with the scriptures that Christ was the Messiah. So I hope this video is helpful to you, and I will see you guys next time. Amen.